Hello, it's great to see all of you again. Boil it intensely, freeze it to extreme cold, compress it with immense pressure, dry it out completely, blast it with powerful radiation, throw it into the vacuum of outer space. Almost every form of life on Earth would fail to survive even one of those brutal assaults. But the water bear, somehow, casually enjoys everything people throw at it, or throw it into. So what is the secret behind these stubborn little creatures? Could they actually be a form of extraterrestrial life that accidentally landed on Earth hundreds of millions of years ago? The answer will be revealed in this video. It's not by accident that astronauts have to wear those thick, bulky suits that make moving around extremely difficult. Vacuum, essentially, is a deadly environment for almost any living organism. Without the balance of atmospheric pressure outside your body, all the air in your lungs would be forced out. That is, if you don't hold your breath. Because if you do, your lungs could actually rupture. At the same time, gases dissolved in your blood would separate and form bubbles. The evaporation of water molecules would absorb heat energy from your body, causing exposed areas, such as your nose and mouth, to nearly freeze. Your body would swell up, though it wouldn't explode like in some movies. If you were lucky, you would lose consciousness within 10 to 15 seconds. Death would almost certainly arrive in under 2 minutes. That's how harsh it is. And yet, the vacuum of space itself must gracefully surrender to a group of organisms called tardigrades, more affectionately known as water bears. In 2007, about 3,000 water bears, both alive and dehydrated, were launched into space aboard Russia's Photon M3 mission. Among those traveling through space, some were exposed to the vacuum of space, while others were subjected to solar radiation roughly 1,000 times stronger than what we experience on Earth. After touring the vacuum for 10 days, they were brought back to their home planet and rehydrated. Remarkably, 68% of the water bears that were shielded from radiation revived within just 30 minutes. Many of them were even able to reproduce normally afterward. However, most of those directly exposed to solar radiation were permanently disabled, except for 3 individuals belonging to a particularly resilient species. Another group of water bears was believed to have taken a historic journey by hitchhiking aboard Israel's Bereshit spacecraft, launched in 2019. Unfortunately, the spacecraft malfunctioned and crashed directly into the moon. To satisfy curiosity about whether water bears might have survived the crash, scientists attempted to recreate the Bereshit accident on Earth. They placed frozen water bears inside projectiles and fired them using an air gun that NASA commonly uses to simulate impact events. The results showed that water bears could survive speeds close to 1,000 meters per second and shock pressures up to 140 megapascal. Faster than that, they were simply crushed. To put that into perspective, that's nearly 3 times the speed of sound in air. Researchers added that although the Bereshit spacecraft may have crashed at a lower speed, the shock pressure generated by the metal structure upon impact with the lunar surface would likely have been much higher and could have crushed the water bears at the moment of collision. However, even if water bears had actually survived that catastrophic crash, they would still need water in order to wake up again. And unfortunately, water is an extremely scarce resource on the moon. But doesn't that lend some support to the hypothesis that water bears might have arrived on Earth hundreds of millions of years ago, aboard a meteorite from beyond our solar system? Could this incredibly resilient creature truly have extraterrestrial origins? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. Up to this point, even F5M still can't figure out what waters did in a past life to offend science so badly that they have to endure such relentless torture. Water bear is the common name for an entire phylum containing more than 1,300 species, all possessing a bizarre appearance reminiscent of alien creatures. They have ridges along their backs that look as if they're wearing a puffy coat, 8 stubby legs with tiny claws, and a head that constantly tilts downward as though it's searching for something. Despite the name, water bears are not related to bears at all. The only thing they share in common is that they are both animals. The difference is this: bears are macroscopic, while water bears are microscopic. If you happen to be a bit nearsighted, or the owner of a pair of thick glasses like mine, you wouldn't even be able to see a water bear with the naked eye. An adult water bear is only about 0.5 millimeters long, though some species can reach 1.2 millimeters. A newly hatched one is about the size of a grain of pollen, or roughly the thickness of a thin sheet of A4 paper. To make the game of hide and seek even harder, most water bears also have transparent bodies. Water bears thrive in almost every environment on Earth, from Antarctica to the equator. They can be found in tropical rainforests, beneath layers of permafrost, and even within ocean sediments. You might encounter a water bear while climbing the Himalayas at an altitude of 6,000 meters. You could also meet one aboard a submarine 4,000 meters beneath the ocean floor. That means water bears are among the animals with the widest vertical living range in the world, spanning up to 10,000 meters. However, you'll most commonly find them in ponds, grasslands, moss, and lichens, where they feed on plant cells, bacteria, and sometimes even their own relatives. Like other animals, water bears eat through their mouths and excrete waste through an anus located at the rear of the body. Some species can only go to the bathroom by molting, leaving their feces behind on the discarded layer of skin. Typically, water bears reach adulthood after 3 to 6 molts, and they may molt up to 12 times during their lifetime, which ranges from 3 to 30 months depending on the species. Despite their widespread presence in the modern world, the origin of these strange creatures remains a major mystery. The oldest fossil evidence of water bears was discovered in Cretaceous amber, dating back about 145 million years. However, those fossils look almost identical to modern water bears. This suggests that their true ancestors may have appeared during the Cambrian period, more than 500 million years ago. If that is true, water bears would hold an astonishing record, the only animals to have survived all 5 mass extinctions in Earth's history. More than 500 million years of evolution has granted water bears an extraordinary survival ability. While humans struggle to overcome adversity, water bears simply pause their lives and wait for the hardship to pass. Under extreme conditions, such as severe drought, freezing temperatures, or lack of oxygen water, bears activate a mode called cryptobiosis. In this state, the tiny organism curls up and contracts into a structure called a ton. They retain only about 1% of the water in their bodies and reduce their metabolism to just 0.01% of normal. In this half-alive, half-dead state, the water in their cells is replaced by a sugar called trehalose, which acts as a biological protective layer. Thanks to this, water bears can survive for decades, or even a century, without food or water. Once water becomes available again, they can awaken within just a few hours. And that's only the beginning of this creature's extraordinary survival abilities. In their dehydrated state, water bears can withstand conditions that would kill most other life forms. Some species can endure temperatures as low as 1 Kelvin, or about 972.1 degrees Celsius, extremely close to absolute zero. At that temperature, the movement of atoms almost completely stops, yet water bears can still survive. Conversely, some species can withstand 82.7 degrees Celsius for an hour, or 150 degrees Celsius for short periods. They can also survive pressures up to 600 million pascals, equivalent to 6,000 times atmospheric pressure. For comparison, the pressure at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest place in the ocean, is only about 1,000 atmospheres. That means water bears can withstand pressures far greater than those found at the ocean's deepest depths. But that's not all. Water bears can also tolerate radiation levels hundreds of times higher than what would be lethal to humans. Their DNA is protected by a special protein called DSUP, damage suppression. This protein acts like a radiation shield, protecting DNA from being destroyed. Scientists have even inserted the DSUP gene into human cells, where it reduced X-ray-induced DNA damage by up to 40%. In other words, with the ability to withstand extreme heat and cold, endure enormous pressure, survive intense radiation, and even live through the vacuum of space. It's not an exaggeration to say that if any creature could survive a global extinction event, it would very likely be the water bear. However, Despite their incredible survival abilities, water bears are not immortal. The easiest way to kill a water bear is simply to wait for it to die of old age. Their average lifespan is only 3 to 30 months. They move quite slowly and often hitch rides on other organisms, such as snails. But even that ride can be dangerous, since snail mucus can suffocate them. In the wild, water bears also have predators, such as nematodes, amoebas, or even other water bears. Additionally, temperatures above 150 degrees for long periods, extremely intense radiation, or heavily polluted environments can also kill them. Still, there's no need to worry too much about this species. Water bear eggs are incredibly tiny and can easily be carried everywhere by wind or water. Humans worry about staying single, but female water bears can even reproduce without males. Finally, remember this: Earth has already gone through 5 planetary resets, yet water bears are still here today. So perhaps we are the species that should be worried. Are you amazed by the unbelievable survival abilities of water bears? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss more fascinating science content. Goodbye, and see you again.